If you are practicing semen retention but are still struggling with edging and relapses, you are not alone. It is perhaps one of the most common questions I have seen asked. How does one overcome lustful urges? The SR manuscript, 2 years of writing and research on the topic of semen retention. If you wish to physically own the works of the ancient archives, then this book is for you. Number 1. Know what you are losing. If you relapse, consider what events preceded it and which thoughts overtook your willpower to keep retaining. Understanding these patterns can help you stay on track. A relapse is often preceded by edging or sexual stimulation without release. While edging might seem harmless, it can easily lead to ejaculation in the heat of the moment. Edging carries a heavy cost. Most think without ejaculation, nothing is lost. This is false. With edging, you are still at risk of losing semen or plasma. Semen or plasma is not sperm, but it makes up the semen. It is the mixture of fluids from various glands that mix with the sperm before ejaculation. This fluid comes from places such as the prostate gland, the Cowper's gland, seminal vesicles, and so on. Many of the glands are rich in important nutrients, as are the substances they produce. Edging can cause one to lose some of these substances. Often this is commonly seen in the cloudy urine many report after sexual stimulation. Many retaining think themselves as retaining all their vital fluids. However, when one is retaining but edging, they are still losing a portion of these fluids through sexual arousal and stimulation. I have found it extremely helpful to keep in mind that the process of fluid secretion doesn't start at ejaculation, but starts at stimulation, and for this reason, it is better to avoid edging if you want to truly retain all components of the semen and not just the spermatozoa. Number 2. Energy is lost. In my own experience, a good sleep without the distraction of sexual thoughts always leaves me feeling fresher and more energetic throughout the following day. The nights of arousal and perhaps edging had usually left me feeling more fatigued and in a worse condition. One caveat is that when edging a lot, it will give me a bit of a vital spark when talking to an attractive woman the following day. I think this was just horniness though, and the spark didn't sustain itself past the conversation. Overall, I find that edging tends to leave me with a net loss of energy. As previously stated, when the arousal kicks in, the glands begin secreting various fluids for semen or plasma. One of these fluids is the prostatic fluid, made from the prostate gland, which is the gland richest in zinc in the body. Zinc, with many other nutrients found in these fluids, are vastly important for a range of functions of the body, not to mention overall immunity and longevity. If we are not edging, we are not secreting these fluids through arousal, and thus I assume the energy I feel the next day from avoiding relapse is due to the conservation of these fluids. I have no evidence here, of course, it is based on my own sense of logic. Number 3. Edging undoes some of the benefits I get from SR. Edging encourages the mindset one has when releasing, the continual entertainment of sexual thoughts throughout the day. When you feed this sexual nature, it gets stronger, and if it gets too strong, it overtakes the mental faculties, the moral faculties. That means you could make decisions based on sexual impulse that override your sense of logic or moral conduct. This affects your relationships. The guy that places sex over all other concerns is acting out of pure self-interest, and others pick up on this. You yourself have perhaps met such a person who acts in this way. Such people would willingly risk friendship and good standing in the pursuit of sex. 4. Your actions become you. This includes edging. A man edging is in many ways of the same mindset of a man masturbating. He is being pulled by his sensual nature, and this pull colors his personality, his priorities, even perhaps his appearance. The lustful thought can easily overstimulate the nervous system, causing a cascade of physiological responses. There are signs that reveal a lascivious nature. A man with sex on the mind shows it in his face. You can often see it in the eyes, the look of lust. A mind steeped in immoral thoughts inevitably becomes apparent in the character. It bleeds into the features, the expression, the movement, into one's energy and aura. A particularly perceptive mind will pick up on these signs. They may not consciously know what's happening with the individual, but they will sense something about him, an unnaturalness or uncomfortable feeling. Number 5. The bed is for sleeping and sleeping only. Lying in your bed awake is often where edging takes place. To take away the chance of relapse, take away the situations that most induce it. Do not get into bed unless you are ready to sleep, and as soon as you awake, do not get your phone. Stand up and start moving. Even if it feels cold and uncomfortable, you will get used to it. Make the decision to do it, and it will become easy. Pledge to get up shortly after waking for the next 7 days, no matter what. See if you can follow through. 7. Keep your phone away from your bed, ideally in the next room. Reaching for our phone when we can't sleep is very common. Charging the phone in a different room eliminates this tendency and thus prevents a relapse from occurring. These small steps may seem inconvenient and a bit strict at first, but the massive benefit of avoiding edging should make it worthy of implementing into your life. Again, wake up. Don't just listen to these words now. Make sure you respond to them. Be one of the few listening to this that implements these changes, and you'll be one of the few that conquers edging and relapse forever. 8. When the thoughts of lust enter your mind, gain an awareness of their entry. See them as dangerous entities, like parasites trying to enter your body. These impulses that may feel nice on a sensory level will bring pain and destruction to your life. Your reproductive system contains the instruments of generation, but to generate, it must draw resources from your own life substance. Engaging this function on the rare occasion in order to produce offspring is considered a worthy sacrifice. But to the private sensualist who engages often in this activity for the sake of sensual pleasure, they gain almost nothing. They wither away their own existence for the sake of short-lived amusement. Do not become this type of man. Number 9. Degenerative thoughts lead to degenerative activity, and such activities will become your appearance. A man who degenerates himself often will soon find himself to be physically degenerated. The numerous biological studies showing reproductive activity to hasten death should be enough evidence to understand this connection. The more we divert away our own life principle, the less we have at our disposal, and the faster we degenerate. The eyes will dim, the hair will fall, the skin will sag, the voice will become soft, the disposition will become passive. The spark of fire that once ignited his very being begins to dim. This all starts from the stimulation of lustful thoughts, and this is why we must perceive these thoughts as dangerous intruders and not allow our mind to entertain their presence. Number 10. Rather than suppress the sexual urge, all you need to do is find something more interesting than edging to think about. In my own case, if the thoughts come, I try to direct those thoughts to books I'm reading or recent things I've been learning. I'll open a book or watch a video, and in most cases that will divert my attention away from sex. Another one is to decide what I'll make for dinner, and look up recipes, and so on. Keeping myself engaged with other tasks works. Are you broke? Think about how you can start a side income. Are you single? Think about how you can find a relationship. Are you bored? Think about a new hobby or area of interest to absorb yourself in. As Aldous Huxley wrote, An intellectual is a person who has discovered something more interesting than sex. Find things that can distract you from sex rather than focusing on the task of trying to stop the feeling from occurring. It will occur whether you like it or not. Your role is to divert thoughts into more productive activities and pursuits. 11. You are more likely to relapse when your blood isn't moving. A sedentary lifestyle induces relapse, perhaps more than anything. If you're one of the majority working in such a job, then think of ways to move your body from time to time. I try to take a morning and afternoon walk, or jog, to get the blood flowing. I also take my seat away and stand at the computer for extended periods. I have a kettlebell which I use to give my arms and legs a small workout. Relapses don't occur in public, they occur in private. Get outside, get some fresh air. Nothing takes the urge to relapse away like moving the body and being outdoors. 12. Avoid alcohol. A bit of alcohol is sometimes great in social situations because it seems to dampen that part of the brain that makes you overanalyze your thoughts before voicing them. When controlled, this can improve the flow of conversation and is perhaps the reason so many enjoy a drink when out with friends. When it comes to trying not to relapse, however, alcohol seems to encourage us to act on such desires. It was often the cause of relapse for me in the past, and as a result, I've scaled back my consumption of it. I recommend if you're having trouble with relapses, try to scale back your consumption of alcohol and see if that helps overcome them. Once your streak has become longer, you may find it easier to refrain even after a few drinks. 13. The passions can be cooled with temperature. Sexual desire is connected to heat. Some say this is why there are higher birth rates in tropical regions. If the room is hot, the passions will rise. See if you can get used to a temperature perhaps slightly cooler than usual. Cold showers also kill the urge quickly. Open windows are of great benefit, not only for the temperature change, but for the fresh air. Fresh air is perhaps one of the most important aspects to health, and if you spend hours indoors, you will benefit greatly from opening the windows and letting fresh air in often. This also goes for food. Some foods that have heating properties are said to stimulate the sexual appetite. Chilies, garlic, spices, such ingredients are said to stimulate the passions through heating up the body. You can experiment with adjusting diets to lower passions further if necessary. Number 14. Work hard. Stay engaged in your job or your tasks. Spend all your energy given to you in a day so that by the end of the day you are well fatigued and able to sleep easily. Don't be idle when trying to retain. As the saying goes, idleness is the devil's workshop. Many bouts of relapses can be prevented by simply avoiding idleness. Keep yourself occupied all throughout the day. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't sit in a room with nothing to do. Of course, you can take a break from time to time, but remember, sleep is your main recuperation period. If you are taking a break physically, you can engage the mental faculties to keep the mind from falling into lustful thoughts. When your mind has no time to engage in sexual fantasy, such thoughts will cease to enter your mind. Number 15. Renew your semen retention motivation daily. It is easy to make a strong declaration to retain today. How strong will your motivation be by next week? Over time, the will to do something seems to weaken if not renewed. Remember, it is the strength of your resolve that is stopping you from masturbating. So, in order to keep it strong, you need to renew your will to retain. You can do that through books, videos, or other media that gives you motivation to practice semen retention. You don't have to watch this channel or read my books. This is not a promotion. Though I do recommend you find some content or writings you like and refer to them regularly to strengthen your resolve to retain. Good luck.